You know, if I had any sense in my head, I would not be preaching about restlessness today. I mean, look around. This congregation is already living inside a whirlwind of newness. New music director, Nick Johnson. New associate minister, Reverend Ian Hill. Your senior minister, Reverend Terrence Strauss, on sabbatical till February, 2 Sunday services, only 1 month in, and then, surprise, me. And if you're feeling it in your body a little bit, excitement, hope, and yes, a little anxiety, say amen. Amen. That ache has a name, and we're going to come back to it. With all this change, the sensible sermon today would be relax. It would be stay calm. Maybe even let's all hum in unison and pretend nothing's different. We could have piped in lavender and eucalyptus through the HVAC. And if you're thinking that sounds pretty good, I get it. But that's not what the Spirit said to me. Because these days we're waking up to are not pina coladas on the beach. They're more like learn to surf or get knocked down by the wave. So today is not a sermon about calm. It's not a sermon about comfort. This is a word about holy restlessness. Now, on the face of it, restlessness gets a bad rap. The self-help aisle loves the word acceptance. You ever notice how everybody's always telling you how to accept things? Traffic's backed up, accept it. Your boss is impossible, accept it. Your team's lost again, accept it. Your kid's doing that thing, accept it. It's like the spiritual version of customer service. Sorry, that's our policy, you'll have to accept it. So, acceptance, hear me, can be wisdom, but sometimes acceptance is just code for sit down, shut up, stop bothering us. And if you don't practice acceptance, if you get restless, if you say, maybe here things could be different, now you're the problem. You're difficult or ungrateful or the squeaky shopping cart wheel of humanity. So yes, acceptance is a virtue at the right time. Acceptance can ground us. But without holy restlessness, we can get root-bound, safe and contained, stuck and slowly starving. And in the Hebrew scriptures that I read, Ecclesiastes says there's a time for everything. A time to plant and a time to harvest. A time to scroll TikTok and a time to delete it. At least that's what my translation says. So yes, a time to accept, but also a time to not accept. A time for restlessness, even holy restlessness, because if all we ever did was accept, there'd be no inventions, no movements, no change. There'd just be a bunch of people sitting around with each other saying, well, this is fine, pass the chips. And if you hear yourself saying something like that about your one precious life, that's your cue. That's your Ecclesiastes moment. It's time to plant. It's time to move. It's time for holy restlessness. It may be calling you right now. Matter of fact, I gotta go. Maybe you know something about what it's like for you in your life. You might get that signal, wakes you up at 3 a.m. wide awake. You're staring at the ceiling. There's an ache in your chest, a hunger pang of the soul. Is it anxiety come again, trying to run you off the road? Or is it your spirit knocking? Don't get too comfortable here. You were made for more. If you shrug and respond, well, this is fine, pass the chips, perhaps something precious in you starts to starve. Perhaps it's in your marriage or partnerships or your friendships where the silence has been thickening like fog and the distance growing? Do you accept it to keep the peace? Or does holy restlessness say, we need to talk. We need to grow. Something's not sitting right with me. We need to risk honesty lest we calcify into strangers. Restlessness can even show up at church. UUCA, you know that temptation. Glide along, hold services, sing hymns, stay cozy. Holy restlessness whispers throughout it all. Don't settle, don't shrink, don't play small. You are not a museum, you're a movement. That ache, that's not a curse. That's a calling. Say it with me. That's not a curse, that's a calling. Yeah, and it matters now more than ever. We live in a time when authoritarianism is not some distant threat or something you read in a textbook. It's been set in motion. It has been unleashed. It's now. And the cultural message too often we're receiving says, settle down, accept it. This is just how things are now. But holy restlessness rises. Do not normalize what is not normal. Do not settle for cruelty. Do not sit down, shut up, and pass the chips. And because hope must always match the size of the harm, hear this word. Atlanta, I'm talking to you. Atlanta needs your flame, not just your flicker. And that, friends, is not a curse. It's a calling. So what? That's not a curse. That's a calling. Okay, I didn't hear you. So what's the difference between any restlessness and the holy kind? Restlessness begins as anxiety rising from within. It's the body's old teacher. Evolution gave us an alarm, fight or flee. But in our time, anxiety now is on supercharged overdrive, seeing shadows without substance, ringing alarms with no fire. So we need to be careful. We need to watch ourselves and sometimes slow our roll, because not all restlessness, is holy. There's the fidget that runs from every challenge. Every teacher that might shape us if we'd only slow and breathe and listen. So that restlessness, that's not holy, that's hurry, that's noise. Holy restlessness is not novelty, it's integrity. It comes when your values and your footsteps have fallen out of sync, when your principles are outpacing your practice, when your commitments are not aligned with your calendar. And when holy restlessness shows up, that's not a curse, that's a calling. It's that still small voice within saying, if you really mean what you said last Sunday back there at church with all those nice people, if you really meant all of that, you're not there yet. You're not done yet. Keep moving. Keep moving. And when that voice keeps tugging at your sleeve, that's not a curse, that's a calling. It feels like a car pulling you to the left. Something's out of alignment. Holy restlessness is that fierce, faithful friend who can tell you the truth. When that friend speaks, that's not a curse, that's a calling. This is where man in the mirror meets the mirror of the soul. What we say and how we live don't match. The music cues up. And sounds like, I'm starting with the man in the mirror. I did better this time. Okay. I'm not saying it was good. I'm just saying it was better. Integrity begins where denial ends. We turn to Siddhartha Gautama, a palace built to cushion truth. No gray hair, no sickness, no funerals. Comfort without reality is just a velvet prison. So he slips beyond the gates, sees age and illness and death, and realizes this palace is not safety. This palace is just denial. What's the lesson from that story? Not to run away from life. The Buddha's first sermon points to the middle way, neither anesthesia nor self-punishment. The Buddhist tradition gives us two companions for reflecting on living with holy restlessness. One is Samvega. Say that with me. Samvega. and the other is pasada. Spanish speakers, that's pasada, not posada. Let me mirror them so our hearts can hold them. Samvega is that gut punch. Pasada is the steady hand. Samvega shakes you awake. Pasada sets your feet. Samvega says, do not waste this precious life. And Pasada says, you know, there's a way through. We'll figure this out. Think accelerator and steering wheel. Samvega presses the pedal. Pasada steadies the course. Think heart and lungs. One pumps urgency and one gives breath. Only together with both do we live. So let's be clear. Holy restlessness is not escape. Holy restlessness is not agitation. Holy restlessness is not despair. Holy restlessness is urgency married to trust. Ache yoked to assurance. Fire joined to breath. Or to turn it, holy restlessness is not what drives us from life, but what drives us to it. Look at Siddhartha. He doesn't abandon people. He moves toward their pain. Even after awakening, he hesitates, and then compassion wins. He returns to open the doors to the deathless. He leaves the palace to come back, bringing medicine. And that's our invitation, not to quit our families, but to quit the palace of denial. Not to chase novelty, but to face reality. Not to live numb or drown in despair, but to be clear-eyed, courageous, composed, compassionate. And for anyone who's ever been told your passion is too much, I'll say this, and we heard the words earlier, as Warsaw Shire writes in For Women Who Are Difficult to Love, you are terrifying and strange and beautiful. Something not everyone knows how to love. Their problem. Holy restlessness honors that beauty and refuses to shrink it to fit a smaller room. So what about you? What about us? So here's the paradox at the heart of this message. Holy restlessness, again, doesn't send us away from our lives, but it calls us back home. Home, not to the easy chair of apathy, but to the seat of your soul. Home, not to distraction, but to your deepest commitments. Home, not to excuses, but to excellence. Home, not to drifting apart, but back into community. Home, not to despair, even today, but fierce, trembling hope. It stirs you when you are about to settle. It calls you when you're about to wander. It whispers when you're about to give up on the work, on the friendship, on the marriage, on the justice, on the dream. Back home to that hard conversation. Back home to reconciliation. Back home to discipline. Back home to the ones who need you most. The promises you've made. The love that's still in you. And yes, back home to this very moment in history. The pull of cynicism is strong. You hear it, I hear it. And the shadow is real, but the holy restlessness says, come back. Come back to your power, your voice, your calling. Remember, Atlanta needs your flame, not your flicker. And that's not a curse. That's a... Here's a story. A few years ago, I was nearly 20 years into ministry. 20 minutes would have been pretty good. I do these 20-minute ministries here. And I was about 20 years into a ministry in Oak Ridge, 3.5 hours north of here. Everything was cruising along, humming. We were doing good work, housing the unhoused, feeding the hungry, trying to be part of dismantling racism in the police department, which remains a work in progress. We were celebrating Trans Joy. I had every city council member on speed dial. I could have coasted to retirement. But there was an ache, some vega, that would not let me sleep. I tried to dream a new dream there. But no dream came. The message was clear. It's time to go. It is time. In our house, we had 2 kids headed to college, a mortgage, health insurance. We had health insurance, grown-up stakes. And I told my wife, Molly, expecting we would both chuckle about this, and then I'd fall back to sleep for the next 20 years. But she surprised me. When I said it's time, she said, I think you're right. I wasn't expecting that because I wanted to blame her. So the church and I took a good long time to say a loving goodbye, and I leapt. I thought I was leaving ministry, but again and again, Posada, that steady hand, met me on the path. God keeps calling me back home. New rooms, same love. Now, if I had clung to the safe shore of the world I had known, I would have missed this deeper water that I've been swimming in, and this deeper water that we're going to be swimming in together. And maybe what I'm talking about, maybe this story is also your story that you've been living in, or maybe that's just this morning been waiting to happen. Maybe it's your story because you were never meant to settle, not for mediocrity, not for injustice, not for comfort that comes at the cost of compassion, not for despair, while hope is still possible. You were never meant to settle, not in your soul, not in your marriage, not in your friendships or your family or community, and not, for darn sure, in this country. One of my heroes, Bayard Rustin, said, "We need in every community a group of angelic troublemakers. Holy restlessness is the angel in your ribs, troubling you toward love." And so we're going to move together. This is where our music carries our theology and our purpose. Because if you're ready to get back on this path, if you're ready this morning to get moving again, if you're saying yes to the nudge that holy restlessness has been giving you, in a second, I'm asking you to rise and declare with your body what your soul already knows. I'm on my way. Not just away from what's easy, but toward what is true. Not just away from what's safe, but toward what is just. Not just away from comfort, but toward freedom. This is not a time to sit back and pass the chips. This is a time to pass the torch together. So when you wake up at 3 a.m. staring at the ceiling, hear it again. This is not a curse. This is a calling. Don't settle. Don't sleep. Don't stop. Keep moving. I'm on my way. How about you?